The PSP was home to some fantastic ports from the PS2 and the PS3 days. It also had some amazing spin-offs as well. It was great to be able to take these console games on the go. However, for a console that came out 20 years ago, there are still ports being ported to this actual system. So today, we're going to have a look at what these ports actually are. If you like what you're seeing on the channel as well, don't forget to give us a little like, maybe even consider subscribing because it really helps us out. Anyways, let's get into the video. So first up on the list is Minecraft. At this point, most of us have played Minecraft in one way or another. The Minecraft was around during the life cycle of the PSP, however, at the time, the game was never released for the system. Releasing in 2011, this game already pretty much was available on absolutely everything, and is classed as one of the best video games of the 21st century. Despite being released eventually on the PS Vita, there were a few different ports for the PSP. However, it wasn't until 2021 that they were able to release a port that was faithful to its 2011 counterpart. In this game, you take the role as Steve, and you have to collect blocks and survive in the vast open world filled with animals and monsters. The PSP version runs very similar to the original version. There is a creative mode, where you can go around and build objects without having to worry about monsters trying to get you, or you can play survival mode. This is where you come in contact with a lot of the monsters, such as skeletons, endermen, creepy men, and all types of different things that are just out to get you. It's complete with a full inventory system that allows you to collect items as you go around the world. However, due to a lack of RAM for the PSP, it is very limited compared to the console version and the PC releases of the game. Even though this is still a very bare bones port of the game, it is still very playable. It reminds me a lot of the web version of Minecraft. This port is actually incredible to see running on the PSP and can definitely provide hours of fun. Celeste is a critically acclaimed 2D platforming game developed by Maddie Makes Games, released in 2018. And in this game, you follow the story of Madeline, a young woman battling anxiety and depression who sets out to climb the mysterious Celeste mountain. As she ascends, she encounters various characters and faces numerous challenges, both physical and emotional. The PSP version of Celeste is based on the 3DS and PC port of the same game. It maintains a lot of the beauty pixel art from the original game, and this also maintains the difficulty of the game too. This version of the game, you dash and glide, and you have to maneuver around the level with precise precision to get around. Aggressive Pixel really did a great job of the port of Celeste and kept the game as challenging as the original, and this is definitely a worthy port of the original game, so I'd highly recommend checking it out on PSP. PT was originally released as a first-person psychological horror game, developed by Kojima Productions and produced by Konami for the PlayStation 4 back in 2014. The game was a big hit after the departure of Kojima. The game actually got delisted from the PlayStation Store, and there were many people who wanted to play it. So people were actually spending a small fortune buying PlayStation 4s with this game installed. PT served as an interactive teaser at the time for the game Silent Hill that was coming out. However, it got cancelled shortly after Kojima left. The port of PT attempted to capture the essence of the original game. This includes the looping hallways, the unsettling atmospheres, and even the jump scares. I definitely agree that it does achieve all of these things. I highly suggest, if you're going to play this game, to play it with headphones as well to really immerse yourself into the atmosphere. Either way, this is a very faithful port, and I think everyone should go check this out. Flappy Bird was again another game that got removed shortly after being released. However, this one was just a simple mobile game that was highly popular due to its addictive nature. In this game, you play as a bird that flaps its wings each time the player taps the screen. The challenge lies in the timing of these taps to avoid the pipes, which become increasingly difficult as the game progresses. The PSP port was pretty much exactly the same thing, only swapping screen tapping with button presses. It's not exactly a game that pushes the hardware, but it's still a lot of fun to play. One of my all-time favorite games on the SNES and the Game Boy growing up was Dr. Mario. This game is an absolute classic, and I still love playing this to this day. Dr. Mario is a very simple game. You play as Dr. Mario, and you have to eliminate viruses with capsules throughout the level. The further you get into the game, the higher the difficulty, as there will be more viruses on screen with much less room to maneuver. Now, while this isn't exactly another technical port out there, it's just a lot of fun to play as its Nintendo counterpart. There is not really much else to say other than it's a really good port for the PSP. Over the years, Pokemon has had its fair share of ports as well as fan-made games. Pokémon Grey is a fan-made game of the Pokemon White and Black series as its basis. This game does include battle systems and updated trainers. In this game, you have all the usual tropes that you'd expect to see in a Pokemon game. It's got bright, colourful worlds, great music, and also people who want to fight battles, and of course, Pokemon. I will say though, it's really cool to see a Pokemon game running on the PSP. I actually found this game to have a bit of a difficulty spike that was just a little bit too much. Usually when you get your Pokemon and you start off the game, the Pokemon usually have higher levels than the Pokemon that you encounter in the wild. However, in this game, I found that there were quite a few Pokemon with levels higher and I was just unable to beat them, which kind of killed it for me, which is such a shame because this definitely had potential. The Binding of Issac is a truly challenging game and also one of Graham's favourites. In this game you play as Isaac, a young boy who lives with his devoutly religious mother, and one day Isaac's mother hears the voice that she believes to be from God, instructing her to sacrifice Isaac to prove her faith. Terrified, he goes down to the basement where there's obviously going to be a ton of danger and terror that he now has to survive. This PSP port replicates the core gameplay of the original, including its roguelike elements, dungeon crawling, and item collection. This game may not be graphically impressive as its counterpart, it definitely retains everything that makes this game great. It's challenging and fun and well worth playing on the PSP. So next up on the list we have Doom. Of course it runs Doom. What doesn't run Doom? Yeah, so I'm not really going to go into this too much, but as you can see, Doom runs absolutely fine. Portal is one of those classic puzzle platforming games. Again, one of those games that was out around about the time the PSP was released, however, it never actually got an official release on the PSP. Portal combines physics-based puzzles with a lot of dark humor and compelling narrative. Players must use the portal gun to manipulate objects and traverse obstacles, often requiring some real headwork to figure out how to get around some of the levels. Now, the main reason this game never got a release on the PSP is purely because the hardware just isn't powerful enough to run the game. However, this game is very impressive and runs very well on the hardware, making this game a great puzzle platform experience. Definitely worth checking out. Cave Story is a beloved Metroidvania indie game released originally in 2004. Cave Story takes what made so many games popular and it just does it extremely well. This also includes classic 2D platforming mechanics. Players can go around and upgrade their weapons, gathering experience crystals dropped by defeated enemies. This game you play as a robot who wakes up in a mysterious cave with no memory of his past or how he got there or even what led him there. As he explores, he discovers and comes across a race of rabbit-like creatures who are in danger because of a mad scientist. As you navigate through these various environments and battle enemies, you uncover the secrets of his own identity and the caves. Cave Story was so popular that it received an enhanced version and even got ported to other systems, but still continues to be released to this very day on modern platforms. The PSP port is also a really good way to play this game. It's a good way for fans to experience Cave Story on the go, and most of the story actually remains intact with this port, and the charm is still there and very much still the challenge of the game is still there as well. The PSP port is a great way for fans to experience Cave Story on the go. Most of the game remains intact, maintaining its charm and challenge of the original game. So guys, those are some games that got ported to the PSP. Let me know down in the comments below, are there any games that you recommend checking out on the PSP? Because I'd love to know. This is something that I've kind of just started getting into now, looking at the way people are just breaking down a lot of these games and putting it onto the PSP. It's incredible really when you think about it, considering the system is like, what, 20 years old at this very point. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you everyone that stuck around to the end of the video. Thanks for watching, everyone.